Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Canton III, and we have finally arrived at the Disney Plus series Loki Season 2. Very excited to be talking about this. And of course, we have the super producer playing a little injured, playing a little under the weather, Jake Christie. Jake, how are you?
I think the thing is, the haters and losers might have thought that the novel coronavirus would stop me from talking about Loki season 2, and it didn't. And I just want everyone to know that you're gonna have to throw a much worse virus at me in order to not have me podcast. And that says a lot more about how addicted I am to podcasting than it does the virus. But I'm doing well otherwise.
Jake may be a little under the weather, but you know what isn't under the weather? The MC University Patreon, patreon.com, where you could find our bonus content. And we have the Furious 7 pod that's up now. We will be doing Fate of the Furious very shortly this month. And of course, the $3 gets you in the Discord and gets all of our catalog of bonus pods. And the $8 Avenger level gets you an opportunity to appear on a subscriber mailbag, which we do every month. Appreciate everybody for supporting there. We do have a couple of guests, though. I had to bring a couple of people on, get this party started because this Loki show is a party. So, firstly, we have the producer of Cinephobe. The producer, he produces a lot of shit. You know him, you love him, friend of the show. I think this is the 11th appearance. One Anthony Mays, aka Corn Puzzle. Mays, how you doing, bro?
Oh, 11 was my favorite number. That's good. I like that. I'm happy to be back for Loki. I cannot remember the last time I talked to you guys. Did we talk about Secret Invasion at all? Was I here for that?
You only texted me about Secret Invasion as we
Thank
both
God.
complained about it, and
Thank
it's
God.
okay.
I can find out. I'm gonna double check.
It's
that,
Quantumania. It's Quantumania was the last
Yeah.
Oh,
one.
that's right. That sounds good. Yeah, we talked about the ants. We talked
Yeah.
about Jonathan Majors being dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, Secret Invasion. What a turd.
Oh,
Yeah.
What a
Jesus.
turd in the punch bowl of the MCU. But hopefully this rights the ship, right, guys?
Yeah.
We're
ship.
hoping. We're hoping, man. We also have another guest, friend of the show, made a bunch of appearances as well. Dalbin Osorio. Dalbin, how you doing, bro?
I think that you should get a Sharon that says how many appearances we've made on the show every time we
nice.
come on, like
I
it's
like that.
ESPN.
So
Yeah,
it's
Jake.
so the answer. I you're right with 11 for Maze, and then because of course I do have a spreadsheet that shows this, and
That's it.
Dalby, this is
Count the
including
appearances. That's the
including Patreon episodes. This is number 20 for you. So
Come
Wow.
on.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dalby's out here.
2-0,
Super pumped to be back
bro.
with you guys. Super pumped to be back with you guys.
Yes, and let's get into it. Episode 1, Ouroboros, bringing Loki back. I think the thing that I loved about this right off the bat is we didn't do a 3 months later, or because obviously time is different in the TVA. We get right to where the cliffhanger ended, and this was a fun episode. Really enjoyed the pacing, the energy. We had some new characters show up. It was a lot of fun. Maze, I'll start with you. What did you think of this first offering in season 2?
Well, so I didn't read the full article, but I did see that Alan Sepinwall was already poo-pooing this.
He did.
And that was surprising to me. And he essentially said, coming off of Ahsoka, which he also was not too fond of the finale for that show, and now we're going right into Loki, and Loki's disappointing, and it was a big downer. And so that lowered my expectations significantly, and I had a great time. I thought it was fun. I like the new additions to the cast a lot. Obviously, Ki Kwan is on fire, and that was, right after he won the Oscar, this was the first thing that was attached to him and announced for him. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a great fit. I can't wait to see how they use him. And they used him perfectly. He's in the Department of Exposition and Jargon, and he handled it with aplomb. And they even snuck in the thing I had to text you because it was just the homonym joke of the episode. Oh man, where did it go? The temporal loom, the temple of doom, the temporal loom. Let's say it over and over again.
It's just perfect, man. Just perfect. We'll get to him a little bit later specifically, but just to continue to go around the room, Dalbin, what did you think generally of this episode?
Well, OB fresh off, he continues his J. Cole like run this year. He's been on a J. Cole like run. So that was impressive. I love. We've talked about this before, right? Like stakes just for the sake of having stakes don't make any sense, right? Like just to have them. But I love how I think you guys had tweeted out the question earlier last week. Like, what are you hoping to see? And one of the things that I said was like, I need to know what the stakes are here. Like, I need to know that like this multiversal war is gonna have some stakes. And the fact that they went right out of the gate with switching what we think we know about time travel, right, and like what we thought we knew, I thought that was impressive because I was like, okay, so that means that you're gonna try to circumvent my expectations a little bit, and that's good. I enjoyed it. I thought that it picking up right where it left off worked really well, and we'll get further into that. All in all, a very solid first start, like very solid first episode to get out the gate. So I dug it.
100%. Jake Christie, what's up, man?
So the thing that I was super complimentary about the first season, and I think that this really showed too, is and why I feel like Loki was the best example of like how to do these Disney Plus shows that still feel like television while not being like super episodic, is that even though the whole plot that was set up at the beginning of the season was not completed, there was a clear goal that needed to be completed at the end of this episode, and it was. And it didn't do the thing that, like, honestly, a lot of the previous Disney Plus shows have done, particularly Secret Invasion and even some of the other non-Marvel Disney Plus shows, where it's like, okay, so in episode 1, we're going to set up 8 different plot points, and all of them are going to get settled in the finale. You're just going to have to wait. And it's like, no, this episode still obviously has the overarching Kang plotline, the multiversal war plotline, the Sylvie plot, and these are all things you care about. But they gave you a thing at the beginning of the episode, the idea of time slipping, a thing that is affecting our main character. And it's also, the stakes are very clear too, because the thing that I think always shows stakes, I know we've talked about this previously, is having other characters react. The thing that makes the sequence with Loki maybe not making it back through the time bloom, the special, is that Mobius is sad, that he's worried about him. That's what makes it impactful. And so the fact that we get that cathartic moment, that we get that resolution at the end of the episode, is like, oh right, this is not just this 1/6 of a greater story. It is a contained episode of television itself. And I know I harp on this a lot, but I think when we go back and look at the Marvel television that doesn't work, it's when it feels like when you're like, well, this episode wasn't that great on its own, but if you consider in the larger, no, that's not how television works. You can't do that. That is cheating. And so this was such a satisfying, fun episode. I don't expect it to be like the best episode of the show because they had to set up a lot of stuff. But I think that like there's just they just have such a clear vision of the aesthetic and the vibe that like when you talk about how Key was Mr. Exposition, that works so well when you have such an interesting set and such an interesting character and such interesting ideas that it's like. And when you're doing the exposition in the really cool thing where they have the 2 different timelines, it's like, when you have so much character and intention into the little decisions you're making, exposition can be incredibly interesting because there's intention because you can just look at everything and find it interesting. And yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. And I can't wait to see where it goes. It gave me confidence that they still know what they're doing.
Yeah,
I feel
even
pretty good.
something
Oh, yeah, go
like
ahead.
the skin question mark scrawled on the computer as exposition, and then he realizes right when we do that he's in the future now, not the past. That's a great little use of the set to do that.
Yes. And again, I think the transition, we have new directors, we have a new head writer, and putting that into this situation and this show, you don't know how that's gonna go, but I thought visually this was pretty awesome. Just the way that everything was filmed, and I love the writing, love the dialogue, everything along those lines. And I think Jake, you spoke to it as far as the character driven stuff comes with Loki. I thought his dread, his chaotic, not only the time slipping, but the idea of hearing the recording of He Who Remains in Ravonna. We'll get to that later, but just seeing that face, seeing the statues all over the place, it freaks him out in a way that you kind of feel the danger of this person in a way that we haven't yet, which says something because there was a whole movie dedicated to that person and we didn't feel that. So I think accomplishing that, and that being just a little piece of it, because that's really more so of a minor piece of the episode. A lot of this is Loki trying to, figure out and not just totally disappear from time itself. So getting back to that and getting back to the original characters and adding some of the new ones was really fun. But yeah, let's center this on Loki first. I think one of the things that kind of stood out to me, and I just mentioned it, was the stuff when you come off of such a situation at the end of season one where he has the hero moment but gets rebuffed, and now everything is torn into shreds as far as the multiverse is concerned, time branches, all of this stuff. I thought Tom Hiddleston was awesome in this episode portraying that whole deal. Dalby, I want to go with you first. Like, seeing this through Loki's eyes and how this kind of played out in this episode, even as we get to the end of the episode where he, fortunately for him, he gets pruned in time. Who pruned him? I don't know. Somebody helped him out. But just stuff along those lines, a very chaotic, very just fast paced, and with everything happening, slipping back and forth between future and past and present. I thought Hiddleston was awesome, man. What did you think?
Yeah, I loved Hiddleston. And one thing I was worried about was that like you kind of see his journey in season one. And I definitely was worried, like, okay, well, now where does he go? Because we got to remember, right? This is the 2012 Loki, right? Who was just a week away, like a week ago, was trying to kill the Avengers and dominate Earth, right? So it's that Loki, right? And so to see his arc and see him now want to actually save everybody. And Jake and I have made this joke multiple times that a good love story is still good. Like love stories are good, and this is still very much a love story. There's a person who loves his brother and wanted to have a relationship with him, now loves Sylvie, right, and wants to get back to her. And Hiddleston embodies all of that. Like, this is still the same Loki who felt, ignored by his brother, overshadowed by his brother, and needed to go work for Thanos to take over Earth and destroy the Avengers. Hiddleston plays every note of Loki perfectly. Like, he's gotten to the point now where it's kind of on autopilot for him, kind of like how Downey did Iron Man. Like, it's just like, all right, man, like I can wake up tomorrow and be Loki, and it's cool. And I think him being now, to your point, the point you mentioned about him being the only one that seems to understand how dangerous Kang is, despite us having a whole movie and all that stuff. And this is a guy who was blatantly arrogant just a week ago, going toe to toe with Earth's mightiest heroes. I think that serves to drive home. And so I think getting to the point now where Tom Hiddleston and his Loki is the linchpin of the multiversal war. Like, if Loki doesn't work, I don't think you can make the rest of the pieces work as well. You need somebody to be the person that drives home the threat, very similar to how Downey did it for Thanos, right? Like, he was the opposite of Thanos. But I thought he was amazing, man. And I was worried because the ensemble grew that he was also going to fall kind of like into the wayside, but that didn't happen. It was still very much Hiddleston's show, and I thought he delivered all the emotions, even the end where he sees Sylvie in the elevator, and she's like, "Oh, there you are," right? And you see he's like, "Oh my God, it's you!" And then somebody stabs him in the back,
Right.
And I felt for him. I thought it was beautifully done. I thought he did amazing.
Heavy emotion there. Jake, I know we have discussed the whole Loki Sylvie thing and what
Have
we
we?
want to see.
I don't remember that. I don't remember having discussions about that.
A little tension, a little
Uh-huh.
romance.
Mm-hmm.
There was
you know,
more
they,
tension with the crocodile.
I mean, some people have said that.
Or is it an alligator? It's an alligator. That's my fault.
Yeah, it's an alligator. I wasn't going to correct you because I already.
I don't want to
disagreed
be
with the
snout
premise.
blind.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think that like that being I think that the thing that makes his kind of like I think what a thing I almost kind of forgot until the previously on Loki that came up before it is like, oh, he actually doesn't see that Sylvie kills He Who Remains. And so that the thing that Hiddleston plays really well in this episode is like the unsureness of like, can I stop this? What happened? Like that he is like he's kind of manic. He's not like he's not acting rationally, and obviously he's being pulled from time to time. And I think that a thing that in this is best exemplified with the famous glass breaking montage that we made for Howard Bryant about how people just go through glass in the MCU like it's nothing. That a lot of times when a hero no sells something, we don't get the severity of it. And so, like, not only is Hiddleston selling how severe Kang is, but the thing with the time slipping that, like, you don't think for a second that it's not the worst thing in the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's played for like a comedy a little bit, like for the other characters, but like it is the stress of what he's going through. Like, it was stressful. Like, anytime he's in the middle of conversation and he disappears, you're like, well, shit, what is he gonna do now? And then I think beyond that, I think we didn't like touch on, because it almost feels like it's such an immediate reveal, but I think it's such an interesting thing that I didn't really consider. I think that I don't know about you, but at the end of last season, I assumed that he went to a different universe, right? I think that's what we even said, right?
Right.
And so the reveal that he actually went back in time is something that's like, oh shit, like that actually changes your whole perspective. And like, I like that decision that they make early on to reveal, because if the plot is going to be about Kang and the way that he's changed the TV over time, I don't think, like, you don't need to save it, and not everything needs to be a twist. You know, sometimes you can just establish a new thing, and I think that the visual fun they get to have with that, with the two different time periods, where they have the bit with the wall with the pruning, like shit like that, is like, that's, I think, what is cool about time travel stuff, that they can do stuff like that. And I like the way that they use this plot device to reorient us with the world we already knew, and also like give us hints to, because we really didn't get a lot of answers about how the actual TVA works last season. We got their version of it, but then we learned that's not true, but we didn't actually learn what it actually is. And I think that we got to see some of the history of it when it was run by Kang. So using the way that Hiddleston plays the performances, you know, increasingly getting more frustrated, is it really makes it gives the episode a lot of energy.
Now, with the time slipping maze, you love the time travel. You're into the time travel. What did you think of this plot device as we saw this play out? Jake mentioning the whole idea of, it looked like Loki was literally suffering, and Mobius alluded to it as well. What did you think of the whole device of it?
I mean, I think what Jake just said about us thinking that it was a different branch or a different universe when we saw the Kang statue last year is right on point. And I thought the show did a very good job of not even really making me question that once it got going. The pace was so frantic, and we were instantly in crisis. As soon as the episode started, we were already in trouble. He was already on the run, and then he starts glitching and slipping. And I liked the way that they handled affecting the past, where, especially with OB,
Yeah.
he's talking to OB in the past, and then OB is like, wait, I kind of remember. Actually, it's right. Actually, the vacuum cleaner hookah lamp is right here. It's so interesting. And, would that happen instantaneously like that? No, I'm willing to be forgiving. Like, it was clever and it was fun. And I guess I wonder now, obviously, you're not supposed to be able to time travel within the TVA, and we've proven that you can. So I'm assuming that they're going to try to be figuring out how to do that again, because I hope that dynamic continues. I enjoyed seeing it in the past, seeing it in the future, and learning more about everything that way. It'll be a shame if that goes away after just one episode, but I'm sure they'll find a new device or workaround to do that.
Yes,
And
yes.
I was gonna say, well, I love that you mentioned that, because that was the thing that popped out to me at the end, right? When now because time moves differently in the TVA, and that's the easy out for anything that you want to explain there, right? But if you can go back, right, then that opens up our Loki, 2012 Loki, going back to making sure that Sylvie doesn't become the jaded person that she becomes, right? It also opens up him going back to trying to stop Kang from ever creating the TVA in the first place. Or maybe he's the one that assembles a new team of Avengers to stop Kang from what's coming. I think it opens up so many different narrative possibilities that I think had you left it unresolved and stuck with the rules that you set for time travel in Endgame, I don't think you get there. I don't think you get to the point where now you have so many different opportunities to tap into. Because in Endgame, we hear that your past, you're not supposed to talk to yourself, right? It doesn't impact your past and all that stuff. And now we know that that's not true, at least in the TVA.
But they're going to be going to the future because they need to get
Right.
Sylvie. So
Right,
it's
'cause
not
they gotta
even
get
about
Sylvie,
going to
right.
the past right now.
Right. They got to go to Broxton, Oklahoma.
Well, actually, that technically speaking, that is the past because it's 1982.
Oh, right, and not 2012.
Oh no!
Yes.
Wait. Sorry. The post credits with Sylvie in Oklahoma.
In
In 1982.
Is that
Mhm.
before or after she comes out of the elevator?
That
if you look-
I think that's before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you got to remember, Loki was taken. Our Loki was taken
Okay.
in 2012, so there's a
That
30-year
Sylvie,
difference.
Got
that
you.
Sylvie
So then-
is future Sylvie, which
But in
I'm
the
guessing they're
80s.
gonna pull on that plot
Right.
thread at
Yeah.
some
in
point
the 80s,
later.
Yeah.
So what I read it as when she pops out of the elevator is that she got dumped there. But what you guys are telling me is that no, she's on
No.
a concurrent timeline.
Exactly.
She's just in Oklahoma right now.
She's just in Oklahoma.
I
At
suspect that the scene we
McDonald's,
see,
shameless product placement. Shameless.
that at the scene,
I'll have everything.
Yeah. I suspect that the scene with her in the elevator is probably in like episode 4 or 5,
And we'll get
see
back to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll
Which
see
is why
have Loki looking at
Yeah.
old Loki get stabbed. It was probably Loki that stabbed himself.
That's what I was gonna say. That's my prediction. I think it's Loki
Maybe.
who ruined him.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's an older Sylvie. That's what I think. I think it's an older Sylvie
Ah,
that stabbed him.
okay.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the thing I like about like the whole you can't time travel in the TVA, I like that they immediately upend that because it's like that's what the old TVA said. Like, why are we to believe anything that they previously thought about the TVA? And I think that like
It's clear they ain't no shit. So.
rules that are said but never like shown are only interesting insofar as they are broken. Like in fiction, if you just say like you can't time travel in the TVA and nothing ever challenges that, then like why bother saying it? It's not interesting. So I'm glad that they immediately do challenge that.
Yeah, big Last Jedi kill the past vibes with the head of the timekeeper sitting on the table during the meeting the whole time. Like, yeah, this is all bullshit, actually.
And then the one guy at the council who says that it doesn't change anything, he's someone who asked for the Rise of Skywalker. He's like, what? Just because we said this doesn't go to it doesn't change anything.
Bring JJ back.
Oh my god, who is that? That's X5, right? I think that's.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Oh,
his
is
name.
that Rafael Cazal?
Yeah.
Is that my guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't in season 1, right? He's new.
No.
Yeah. He's from Blind Spotting. He's like
Hmm.
Oakland, friend with Daveed Diggs. They made a movie that became a show on Stars. That's where he came from. I like him. He has a very creepy,
Yes.
kind of like, and of course they chose this woman, the relationship that he has with General Doc. So this woman, Kate Dickey, was the breastfeeding woman from Game of Thrones.
Yep, she could win 6 Oscars for the rest of her life, and now unfortunately the first thing I'll think about her is that.
Through the moon door.
And then they're like, you know what? We really liked the relationship you had with your son. How about you translate it over? And I know nothing about them. I don't know if they're related. I don't know how long they've been working together. Something's off. And I love it. They're evil. I hate them already.
He's pretty annoying, and yeah, she's not great either. The TVA bureaucrats, we got to see a little bit of that play out in this episode. Hunter B15, continuing from when she found out that she was a variant last season, is now on a crusade to make sure that we do not prune any more timelines.
All lives matter. Anthony.
We all look alike.
Wow.
That was a bad Freudian slip right there. I've derailed you completely.
Whew.
That's a great one. Oh man. That's a one for the books. I'm glad this is on YouTube. Yeah. Let's do it, baby. Loki season 2, time travel. The timeline is all fucked up because all of a sudden I'm a mean El Hazard. I love it, man.
Yep.
But yes, the whole the Hunter B15 thing is now her thing is she wants to save everybody, which is interesting. As I think about this, all of these kind of storylines coming together and stuff like that, I'm very curious to see how this actually plays out because, I mean, the multiverse is messed up, man. We got to kind of clean this up, and she wants it all to stay. I don't know if that's gonna work. Black is beautiful. I root for you, my sister. I hope everything goes all right, but I don't know. I don't know about this one.
I think
Yeah.
what makes it interesting though is that if you didn't know about Kang and you didn't know that there was a force that would combine forces in the multiverse, I can understand why you'd be like, wait, we're gonna eliminate hundreds of thousands of millions of people, billions of galaxies because this, and like that's I think why Loki's so frantic is because he was fully convinced, like, oh, this is evil, they're destroying these people, and it's like, and the only thing that could convince him that it was okay to do what is on its face horrible is like, oh, if the worst possible person in the world was like, there are billions of me. And so like if Under B15 doesn't know about that, you kind of understand why she thinks that it's an injustice to prune universes.
So here's why I'm laughing, because Jake might as well be like, listen, man, genocide. I understand why we would commit. Like, I understand why that would go down. Like,
I'm not saying that. I think it's a multifaceted thing, but I think that this is what is asked you to confront.
Jake is like, look, man, if it's got to happen, it's got to happen.
So let's not act like AC didn't just say we can't let all these universes go. He's saying the same thing as me.
Hey man, look, I'm with Jake on this. All right, I'm not trying to make this a race war on the podcast, but I'm clearly with Jake. It's social Darwinism, not everybody can live.
Yeah, ultimately,
ironic. The two white guys.
Yeah,
the thing is, the ultimate place I come down.
I did not know this was gonna go this way.
The only way I come down is that I actually side with Hunter B15. I was just trying to explain why it's really compelling.
It's like the only way I do this is for a sister. That's Jake. The only way I come off this is for a sister, and I respect it.
It's because the thing is, because obviously, what I'm trying to say is, and I'm trying to
walk it back. Walk it back.
I don't need to walk it back because I know what I was trying to say. Is that what makes it an interesting conflict? Is that like obviously destroying universes whole cloth is bad, and so they have to introduce the idea of Kang in order to make the dramatic tension because like there has to be a question of whether or not you do it, and so. Obviously, the answer ultimately, because of what the movies we have coming up are called, is that they're going to have to defeat Kang in some way. But once again, they have to make it a dynamic conversation. And if Kang doesn't exist, then like, yeah, you shouldn't prune universes. But I think it is. I'm interested to see how the 100 B15s of the world and the Mobiuses of the world start to feel about this question if they get to see the breadth of Kang's ability. Because once again, like, I don't think that they should be pruning, but also like, if we get to a place where there are a million Kangs showing up at the TVA killing everyone, then like, that's a different dramatic story.
I really like the use of the term pruning. And I think it applies really well because it makes you think of gardening, right? And when you're gardening, you can't just let everything grow like crazy because it'll get out of control. You have to prune it so that you can let the existing plant or the existing timelines flourish and have the necessary like space and resources to have the best possible growth. So in this case, Kang is like a bad batch of aphids or something like that, a really bad batch, but it's the same principle, right? Like you can't just let everything go crazy because it won't sustain for whatever reason, whether it be Kang or something else. And then, like, all right, let's say we're all on Hunter B15 side here, which obviously we've established that I'm not. Can OB build the temporal loom big enough to actually handle it? If he could do that, then sure, fine. Let it go crazy. But we've seen the future. Doesn't seem like it worked out. Like we got a little flash forward to that. So I don't think that we have the capabilities.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a tough chore.
You know who does have the capability? Kang. So now imagine you got to go and knock on, MCU's Hitler and say, "Hey, guy, let's build this thing so we can save some people." Like that, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
I mean, isn't that how Volkswagen started? That's a dumb.
Yes.
Look, man, even the Temple of Doom, they had ritual sacrifice. Okay, like it's a necessary part of.
I don't think the ritual sacrifice was necessary in Temple of Doom.
Oh, it's super necessary. How do you think they flourished?
Yeah. Man.
Oh boy, I love when we just
It's
go off
nice.
the rails like
I feel
that.
so much more comfortable when the rails are no longer even in sight.
There's no path.
Uh,
Time is not real on MC University. It's not a thing.
so
It's not a thing at all.
the other member
Yes.
of the panel, Judge Gamble, is played by this woman Liz Carr, who's shown up in Devs. She gives like a lecture in Devs. She's one of the angels in Good Omens, that
That's where
season
I
2 that
recognize her
just
from.
came out.
Yeah.
And when they had her and they had the breastfeeder, I couldn't help but think of the What We Do in the Shadows Council of the Energy Vampires. I kept like how they kept like unveiling another like crazier and crazier energy vampire lady. I kept waiting for like another weird lady to pop up on this council, but we only got the 2 of them. And then the sleeping guy who's not even in the credits.
Oh yeah, he's not in the credits. Also, since old dude sleeping, hashtag washed agenda has arrived.
Oh my
I guess we
goodness!
get
I
the.
didn't even see it coming.
Did you feel
Didn't see it coming.
represented?
I mean, geez. I mean, in represented in ways
Representation matters, guys.
I didn't know I could be. It's just incredible how Marvel continues to find a way to insert washed agenda into everything. What can I
Even
tell
in
you?
a place where time doesn't exist, and our
I'm-
man
what?
OB hasn't slept ever.
It's just incredible, man. He's
No,
been
I'll
around
say
for
this,
hundreds of
AC.
years.
You know what
What's
actually
up?
is low key kind of a washed, like it isn't really washed dinner, but like a washed like life philosophy. The way that Obi's like, I gotta get these orders done the moment they come in, or else they pile up.
Right there.
You
AC
still
was
using
like, AC said,
paperwork?
I feel that. AC said, yes. Bill comes in, goes right back out. I said, yeah, that's
I mean,
that's an AC
I
moment.
came home. I said, hey, hon, I'm gonna get these dishes washed. I'm gonna take the garbage out. I'm gonna be ready to do this podcast. I gotta rewatch the episode right fast. So let me take care of the chores. I do this and do that and do that, and
That's
just
it.
so I can be prepared. So I mean, that fits the bill. Yeah, most definitely. But okay, so I wanted to, now that I feel like we've mentioned Kang enough to kind of like dive into the tape, because at one point right before Loki appears with the TVA bureaucrats, he's in the same room. Whether I think it might be in the future, might be in the past. I'm not sure
No, I think it was
exactly.
the past with
It
the
was the
head
past.
on the wall
I think it was the
because they
past.
covered it up with the new mural.
Well, okay, so considering this being the case, I think the fact that he plays the tape and we find out that a
Old
Kang
girl.
variant and Ravonna have met, have talked. What is said is he goes, Ravonna Renslayer, you are quite a marvel. I will be proud to lead with you. You made a difference in this war. Thank you for being on my team.
What are you doing
N-
Friday night?
That's the part we didn't hear.
That's
Yeah.
exactly. And when we were coming into the season, one of the things that I wanted to know and see was the Ravonna Kang relationship start to become a thing. Because if anybody from the comics knows that Kang and Ravonna is throughout all versions and variants and everything else, their relationship is vital. I mean, in a lot of ways, Kang is like Carl Thomas. I'm emotional because this woman torments him in a lot of ways. Like there's so many different issues and series that you could go back to. I think it was 2019 where there was a limited issue. I want to say like 6-issue series of Kang the Conqueror, and it really kind of details the plight of how he's just so obsessed with her. And that's why I want to see what happens here, because that will play into the entire dynamic of what this person/persons is going to be in this multiversal war. So, Dalbin, I know this is kind of your field here. This is the rabbit hole. Let's go down it for a second and take a look and kind of analyze what we got here. It's very brief, but the fact that we got this little nugget is interesting, and the fact that this occurs in the past, when we know in the TVA Ravonna went and left to find He Who Remains and find this person. What do you make of all this?
She left searching for free will. Remember, that's what she said when she
That is
walked through
true.
the time door. She went looking for free will. I think it's what. So we we're in the TVA and we know that He Who Remains has wiped all these variants' memories. So very clearly, to your point, like he's probably wiped Ravona's memory a time or two, right, to get her to this point. And in the comics, she's the one that tries to kill him because he wants to kill the Avengers. And so you're talking about like just a real integral part of Marvel in and of itself. The thing that I think stands out to me is she very clearly helped him either tame Alioth so they could end the last multiversal or played a key role, right? And the way that she plays a key role is through a weapon that she so she was the daughter of a king who Kang then took over the kingdom, right? And she develops this weapon. So as we talk about Loki being the linchpin to actually making the multiverse stakes matter, is she the key to actually defeating Kang? I think you're gonna see, and she's a talent, man. She crushes it in the morning show. She's amazing.
What's her name again, Jay?
Goo Goo.
Goo goo. Goo goo.
Forgot. Sorry, I've been out of the loop for a while.
It's
Been
okay.
stuck in the
It's okay.
multiverse. I forgot.
She's amazing. No, she's amazing. She's great in the morning show. I love her in the morning show. But she, is she the key to defeating him? I think so. And I think you're seeing, one of the things that they skimped out on Thanos when they made him the big bad was the whole him courting Lady Death thing, right? I think you're right. So you skip that. I think we're going to see this kind of mold into the MCU's kind of version of that. Like Kang has probably done everything in his power at some point, right, to impress her and to make her his lady and all these things, and she's probably rejected him, which is why which I would not surprise me. And again, it's a tired and true trope from a lot of rom-coms that do amnesia and things like that. It wouldn't surprise me if Kang has erased her memory so he could keep trying to get her to fall in love with him.
Yo, you know what? If they did that, that's kind of crazy, but I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
I am terrified that he has roofied her.
Yeah. Molly all in her drink and she ain't even know it. He seems like the type. He's a creep.
I mean,
I didn't think he was so bad before, but now that I know that he wiped her memory, dude.
The way that I interpreted it is that, like, and not that I think, Dalbin, you obviously could be right. The way I almost interpreted it is that, like, he probably went so many rounds with her that at some point he, like, was like, no, I don't. Okay. I mean metaphorical. I don't mean.
You didn't mean sexual.
No. I meant like they went through so many trials and tribulations that once he was like, she's not good for me. I need to wipe her memory and put her in like a bureaucratic position in the TVA, so I'm not tempted to go back to her.
So she was a stage 5 clinger. That's what you're saying. She was the clinger.
He was the clinger. Like he's like as long as she's like in my world, she's not good for me. But yours honestly seems more like a bad guy. So
the creep. It's a creep.
Yeah.
I mean, you're telling me that he spent an eternity in isolation in the castle at the end of the world, and he did that willingly? Like,
that's true. That's true.
Come on, man.
Oh boy,
telling you, there's a lot there, but there's a lot to mine from there, right? Like just because again, her connection to the Fantastic Four, her connection to the Avengers, her role in ending the multiversal war, she's got a big role to play.
Let me ask you, Dalbin, are there variants of her?
So yes, because remember at the end of season 1 we met the teacher, the one who the one who was a teacher. So we know that there's variants of her, which makes Kang even more of a creep because he might have been bouncing around from timeline to timeline warp in Ravonna. Like again, guys, we need to know who we're dealing with here. It's a creep. It's a creep in purple and gold.
Volume shooter.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of art imitating life situation type of thing.
Oh
going
boy!
On here.
Wow!
Jesus Christ!
Look at that.
I mean,
hold on. Let me break this up. Let me step in here. Okay, we can't do this. This is clearly not a staged argument that I'm intervening in. No, this is 100% natural. I am disarming this situation. Okay, that's not what's happening here. Look, man, whatever it takes to get Jonathan Majors back in these movies. I'm sorry. I'm morally bankrupt for this. I'm sorry. Like, If
You know, and the
Megan,
thing
if
is,
Megan Good is gonna stand by him, then I'm gonna have to put
I
my
mean,
chips where they go. Let
I
my
just,
man act.
Stand
he just
by your
can't.
Kang.
He
Oh,
can't keep dressing the way he's dressing. That's not the most important thing. He
Cannot.
can't do that.
We're
And two,
on a
like
ranch.
I just don't know. And
man, looking like
this
a
is
hobo.
a bigger. This is probably just the way that our society's broken in some way. But it's just like
Uh-huh.
I love that they tried staging a fight at a high school across the street from an In-N-Out before I don't know, issuing a statement saying I apologize if I hurt people in my past. Like the fact that that's the first idea is so crazy to me. It just shows how fucked up Hollywood is.
He's gonna start dating Travis Kelce soon. Okay, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
I don't know. I am not co-signing that position, but I will leave it at that because we're having a good time.
Yeah.
We are
Thanks,
having-
Jake. I appreciate
Neither
you.
am I, for the record, but I understand. I understand what
I totally, I
I
totally
would like
hear
for
what
him to make steps to help
Yes.
his reputation and this, that, or the other. If he doesn't do that and he just is no, I've never been a bad person in all my life, then fuck him. But
Jake, are you gonna Are you gonna do a spin-off of your old podcast and do Sorted Present and Future with
Yes.
Jonathan Majors?
I might, except the fact that I don't need those Twitter mentions, frankly. I
Yeah.
just don't need that. Yeah, it's just, but no, but yeah, man, I'm gonna try to see, by the way, Maze, if on the video I can Photoshop the hat onto you, but it might be hard.
Please give me
I'll
a Photoshop hat. I'd love that.
I'll see what I can do.
Oh man, a lot of fun talking about Kang, guys. But there's more stuff to talk about in this episode, and and we talked about OB earlier. Let's get into him because I felt like, from what I saw, one of the things that kind of stood out to me, besides the fact that Ki Kwan was awesome, was the fact that it seems like his memory was not wiped. It
Yep.
just based off of the way that he spoke and the way that he talked about everything, it seemed like he's a forgotten employee in the
Mhm.
basement somewhere.
Well, okay, so question about that. Are you saying that because he remembered what Loki told him in the past and then immediately remembered in the present, or just in period in general, not even
It felt
counting
like
that?
generally the way that he talked about everything, that there did not seem to be the same, how do you say, because I think even in season 1, when Loki meets Mobius and meets Hunter B-15, all of these folks have this kind of straight lined thinking as far as what the TVA is and what it means and what it is. But Obi is different. The way that he goes about things. I mean, even something as silly as the cracked glass on Mobius's helmet, just put some tape on it. Just
Mhm.
little stuff like that. His energy is just different. It's
Yeah.
looser. And it's funny. Somebody posted a theory that they think that Obi is secretly deranged and he wants to get revenge on the TVA for leaving him in the basement forever. And I was just like, no, man, they can't make my guy be a villain. No,
I
not
mean,
at
he
all.
is the Milton of the TVA. He's down there with his stapler.
That's facts.
No one's come to see him except for Mobius once, and he completely forgot about
400
it.
years ago.
It's the literal definition of going postal, AC. It's literally that. It's OB.
Wait, whoa! You can't say that. Then. You
Hold
can't
on.
say that. Then you can't
Let me
say that.
step
then.
in again. Let's keep Dalbin away from insulting the mail carriers of America,
No,
the
not an
U.S.
insult
Postal
at
Service.
all.
You better
Not an
watch
insult.
yourself. All right. I'm here to.
Dalbin, for someone who's so involved in democratic politics, it's really weird to take a swipe at one of the greatest paths of the middle class that's been forwarded to African Americans.
No swipe, no
Okay,
swipe
okay.
at all. No swipe at all.
Okay.
But we are also 7 minutes away from Jake, celebrating genocide. So we've barely gone off the rails here.
Fair.
But I think AC's point too, as you were talking, because he was. If you notice, when Loki asks Mobius, well, how long have you been there? He's like, oh, time moves differently in the TVA. Nobody else has a semblance of how long they've been there, except for OB. OB is the only one that's able to put a number on how long he's been there. And I think there's something to be said there. I do wonder if, similar to how Thanos kept Eitri the dwarf alive to continue to build him weapons, did Kang just not wipe OB's mind because he knew that OB was the only one that could fix the temporal loom?
Yeah.
And a variant of Kang did that. Right?
That's my thought.
That happened. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
and I
that
think
makes
that
sense.
we're supposed to believe, obviously it might not be, but just for narrative sake, I think we're supposed to believe that the time period that Loki goes back to when he speaks to him in the past is the same time period that he originally was at the beginning of the season. And so if that's true, the fact that he remembers anything means that his memory wasn't wiped. Now, obviously that could be a different time, but like
Mhm.
if it is, they didn't make that clear and that's just
Yeah.
like
No, I thought
sloppy.
he went back to the same time
Yeah.
period every time except for when he went to the future.
Exactly. That's what I feel like too. And so with that, if that's the case, then that would have to be the same. Obi couldn't have had his mind wiped because he wouldn't have remembered it if
And
that's the case.
and I love the detail that he wrote all of the manuals that no one read.
I mean,
Mm.
My man,
poor guy.
working his butt off. But he's so goddamn energetic
Yeah.
and happy.
Yeah.
I don't like. I'm not with any theories that he's in Kang's
No.
pocket or anything like
No,
that.
No.
no.
He-
I like the
I
positivity.
don't even
from
think
it.
he's resentful. I think he's literally just
No, because I also think too is
focused and driven onto what he needs to do at any given time.
if he does remember all time that he's been there, like for him, who knows? I mean, obviously it's been a long time since someone's seen him, but the millennia go by and he finds purpose in his work, etc. I'll say this, he doesn't seem bothered by it so much, and so like I feel like some people write fan theories just to like project themselves onto it, and it's like no, if the character doesn't seem that bothered by it, don't make a big stink on their behalf.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Go ahead, Dalby.
Well, and I was gonna say, and I don't think he's in Kang's pocket. What I'm saying is that to the point about like it's very possible that like just like everybody else, they thought they were doing the right thing. They were just thought they were
Exactly.
doing the right thing, and he being the one person with the capability to do this, Kang was like, listen, we have to do this in order to save trillions, and he's like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Right, and I think that makes all the sense in the world that he wouldn't be the one person that's like, yeah, I'm gonna go work for this man. I'm gonna go do this willingly.
Well,
I think we're doing the right thing.
Do you think you're saying that you think he's even had a conversation with Kang? It might
I
have been
do.
just a tube that delivered an assignment that he did without
Or
any
Miss
face to
Minutes
face.
just randomly
Maybe.
showing up. Miss
Yeah.
Minutes with a missive.
That's a
of
good
some
point.
sort.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's possible that could be the case too. I just love OB. It was it held the energy like right off the bat. The back and forth conversations between both him in the past and him in the present. Him getting everybody set up. You got an hour. You got 5 minutes. Like
hey,
the
AC,
whole.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
What's the
up?
difference between this first episode of Loki season 2 and the last few seasons of New York Knicks basketball?
Oh.
This season, let Obi cook.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Jake Christie from the logo.
They said they put that man in Indiana. He's a starter now. Like what the hell, man? Jesus.
My mind was going to like a Tibbs is He Who Remains angle. It didn't really land.
He
quite
Who
as
Remains
smooth
is a player who's never played for
Jake's.
Tibbs because their knees won't remain. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I love OB. I'm looking forward to seeing more of what he got cooking with this. We didn't get really a chance to talk about Mobius. I thought it was cool to see him again. I thought Jake, you mentioned it like right off the rip, but I think his genuine worry and concern for Loki and their friendship, which is a hallmark of season 1, the kind of like a true detective thing those two kind of got going on. It was nice to see that back again. It was a lot of fun. What did you think of seeing Owen Wilson back in his groove here as Mobius?
I think that he's so comfortable in this character because I think he was given the direction. Because I remember I heard an interview with him before the first season where he was approached by Kevin Feige, and it's like he wants to be in the Marvel Universe, and he's like, okay, what's this guy's superpower? And Kevin said to me, he's a really good listener. And I think that Owen Wilson really like takes that to heart and is like, okay, in that case, I'm going to play this character like he is in any other thing that's not superhero related. And that's the thing a lot of actors have said about superhero projects, but I think that Owen Wilson is just such an empathetic actor, which is a thing that can be kind of swallowed up in big projects. But he just is. I like that they keep the relationship with him and Loki. Like, I'm glad that the thing where he doesn't recognize Loki was kind of like a fake out, because there's nothing that's more annoying than when a show has a first season and then in order to recreate stakes for a second season, they undo all of the character development from the first season.
Yeah.
Like, that's like just lazy as shit. And I love that, like, in the same way that like Loki has actually changed, that they're not doing some bullshit thing where it's like, you know how Loki seemed like a completely different character at the end of the first season, he's back to being a villain again. Like, no. At the same time, it's like Mobius takes a lot of pride in what he was able to do with Loki, and Loki is an example to him of like, oh, this project that we've had about pruning variants, the fact that there could be a variant that could become good is like an integral part of himself. Like, that is the most important thing he's done, I think, in his life, he would say. And so the fact that he is so concerned and is like really trying to balance this moral question, I think at the end it's really great to see the way he balances the moral question of what to do about pruning variants when the man Loki, who is standing in front of him at the moment, is proof that a variant that gets pruned is not necessarily a bad person. Like, the fact that
Right.
Loki himself is like, he has to reconcile that with the fact that Loki, a man that he has grown to love and trust, is saying, no, you don't understand, you have to prune variants. Like, that is an incredible moral dilemma to him, because the proof that pruning variants is a bad thing is in front of him, but that same proof is saying, no, you have to do it. I think that almost plays that dilemma in a way that is complex, and it's not super sci-fi. He plays it like a dilemma of not knowing to do with a friend, you know? And that's why I think he's great casting.
No,
Well,
absolutely.
and I was saying when he tells him, he's like, I need a Loki who remains. Like, that felt earned. That could have been real cheesy. That could have been real cheesy, but it felt earned because of how they built their relationship, right? And to Jake's point, it's true. Like, you could Owen Wilson, I think, Wedding Crashers smash, but Owen Wilson has done some dramatic roles before where he's able to kind of flex his acting chops. Him like Hiddleston, he's matching Hiddleston. All of Hiddleston's fear over glitching, all of his oh my god, Kang's coming. He plays off of that really, really well. But when he says I need a Loki who remains, I'm like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You love
but
that man.
the bit with where Loki's talking about he who remains and how he got that name, and he's like last man standing. Yeah, that was pretty good too. Yeah, I love Mobius, man. It's cool to get that little buddy cop thing with him and Loki going again, and I kind of want to see where the character goes. I think the easiest thing that occurs when you have a season one so successful in building characters and getting to know them and learning their ins and outs and stuff like that, you could kind of just go in the second season, and where it's not so much of a, like you said, Jake, a restart. You can kind of continue on and build on and expand the story, which it feels like they've accomplished here, which I think is pretty cool. Maze, you have any thoughts on Mobius in episode 1?
I thought he was extra Owen-y. I thought he was more Owen Wilson than he was in season 1, or at least how I remember it. The thumbs up he gives when Key is and Obi is telling him,
Yes.
you got to bust ass to get back through these blast doors. He's like, yep, you got it. Looking down, them in the elevator when he's describing what the time something is like. It's like you're dying and being born at the same time, and he at first he lies to him and tells him it's fine, and then he's like, no, it's fucking terrifying, like I actually really don't like it. And then of course the classic pan over to the random woman and her reaction, and him talking about jet skis. I love that he still is obsessed with jet skis. Like, Kenny Powers, get this man on a jet ski, I can't wait. And then he gives us the exposition, it's actually not the type of vehicle, it's a brand like Kleenex. Yeah, facts.
And
facts,
X5
bro.
doesn't want to hear that, but that's interesting. And X5's wrong for not finding that interesting.
Yeah, X5 got a little jerk thing going on that I feel like we're gonna see more of as this series continues in season 2. This is a really good episode, man. It gets you feeling good about what's to come. There's a lot of things to answer. Who helped Loki out? That phone ringing at the same time that Sylvie shows up in the elevator, and then who pruned him? That all of those questions are there. We haven't seen Victor Timely yet. I'm sure that's coming very soon, and that'll be interesting to see what that version of Kang is like. I'm looking forward to that. I guess I'll ask all three of you as we get closer to wrapping up here. Maze, I'll start with you. What is something that you're either looking forward to see this season, the most thing that you're interested in being resolved or plot continued this season?
That's interesting. It's always tough to remember that this is only 6 episodes. That doesn't feel like a lot of time. I remember the first season cramming a lot in, all things
Yeah.
considered.
Mm-hmm.
We had the before sunrise episode, which slowed things down. But other than that,
Episode 3, yeah,
I
your
felt
favorite.
like my favorite one. That was when I came in with all my takes last go round. But I felt like we started with pace. There was a lot of pace from the jump. There were stakes, and I'm on board. I mean, I don't know how many more new characters there are. I mean, we already have the Docs and her weird relationship with Raphael Casal, so that's going to be our little mini antagonist for this season, I'm sure, while Kang remains the big picture antagonist. You know, how long is it going to take Sylvie and Loki to reunite? Will it happen by the end of next episode? Very possibly, considering how compressed the whole season run has to be. And yeah, I mean, timely is all we're going to get, right? Or do we not know? Like, there could be
No,
more
there's gonna
Kangs.
be. If I had to guess, I think there's another version out there.
Because I
that
would
we
say
will
I
see.
would like to see Renslayer and Kang in the past. I don't know how they would fit that in because we've stopped the time slipping.
Yeah, if we hearing that tape makes me believe that either we're gonna get the present one finding a version, or we will get a look at something along the lines of what occurred in that tape. But I do think that we will definitely see another version of Kang in the show besides Victor Timely. And yeah, I think the thing that's cool about this for me, especially with a lot of the talk about the MCU lately being about, well, it's the multiversal saga and we have nothing about the multiverse, and we feel like the some of the movies and the shows dedicated to that have not really bore any fruit from it. This feels like we're getting back to that central story and kind of seeing the ins and outs of it as we kind of build towards whatever is going to happen with the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars as that continues to build. So that part is interesting to me as it expands. But yeah, I definitely think we're going to get another Kang variant. Dalbean, what about you? What are you looking forward to this season?
So I think so. Two things. One, I think when we talked about a lot, we talked about this a lot as we were looking at WandaVision, right? Like I think folks, and I think ACU wrote a really kick-ass piece about how expectation is the enemy of some of watching this stuff, because you start to psych yourself out and tell yourself like, well, it needs to go this way. Right, exactly. The whole Mephisto of it all, right? Because you tell yourself if it doesn't happen that way, that means it's whack, right? That means it's just terrible.
No, I did it. I did it. It happened. It happened to me in the series. I did it. I did
right?
it.
Right? Like, because you psych yourself out in that regard. I think what I think is what I've enjoyed about the multiversal saga, and there's been surefire misses. Like the bad has been really bad, right? Secret Invasion was bad. Thor: Love and Thunder was bad. Like the bad has been bad. But I think the threat of the multiverse itself has been pretty well explained, incursions and all this stuff. The threat of Kang, I think, hasn't been explained as well. Like I'm not worried about Kang right now. Like I'm like, all right, man. And so
you got washed by some ants.
Right, you got washed by some ants, right?
Yeah,
so like for me, I'm like, you're the conqueror, you. So I think I'm curious because I think we end up with understanding the threat that all these Kangs play. I think that's kind of where we're headed, because I'm curious as to who was calling Loki in the future, right?
Loki.
Like who is it? Another Loki that was calling Loki, right, in the future? And who prunes him? I think is another Sylvie, because I think now that you've allowed the timelines to kind of go crazy, I think that there, just as much as there's a chance that there's a Loki that's redeemed, right, and we've now seen it, I think there's also a chance of a Sylvie that goes completely corrupt and is like,
Dalbean, before you continue that point, I just want to say, Jake, the fact that if Dalbean is correct and there's more versions of Sylvie out there and more versions of Loki out there, there is a percentage of a chance, as I told you before on that little questions that we ask each other episode that we did a couple of weeks ago, maybe perhaps there is a Loki Sylvie love scene in the future.
I mean, I don't love, of all the things that become my brand on this show, this is not what I'm like. This is not very low on it, but it's definitely like below like Vision penis talk. Like that's my brand I'm proudest of. But like, I don't love that you had to interrupt Dalbean just to tell me that. Like my mind already went there. Like on that, but I'm once again, my whole thing with this, I feel like my take has been way overblown. My take was just these two characters are from different universes. They are only related insofar as like they are a variant of each other, sort of. My take was that if they have chemistry, it's okay if they kiss on screen. I think was basically my take, and it has now become like obviously Jake wants to see softcore between Sylvie and Loki. Like I don't know how it became that.
Well, I mean, it became that because I did ask you, well, how would you feel? Would you spontaneously combust? And you did not.
Yeah,
say
I
no.
did because it would be like a culmination of. Yeah, you're right. I put myself in this corner. I played into the bit too much and I got burned. And it's not the first time that happened to me, and it won't be the last because I don't learn.
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No,
Man.
I'm sorry. I need to come barging
Go
into
for
this
it. Go for
conversation.
it. Break up this fight. Break this one.
How could there be more Sylvies? She's a different Loki.
But I mean, but definitionally with the multiverse, there's every single you could. If there's a variant of Loki, if there's variants of Loki, there would have to be a variant of every variant of Loki. Like that just, I mean,
All right.
no, I don't know if they're going to go down that path, but like if they
Right.
want to, they can because that's the way the multiverse
And
works.
AC, we don't need multiple Sylvies and multiple Lokis. There's clearly tension between
Yeah,
Loki
that's the thing
and
too.
Sylvie.
Even our Loki.
We've only got. We only need
right now
two.
we got kind of like the teenage romance thing going on with these two.
AC wants a full blown orgy. He wants a full blown Loki orgy.
AC wants like a
I feel like I'm getting the displacement of a lot of AC's thoughts here, and I don't really like that much.
He's very neatly couching himself from these takes
Yes,
by saying
like,
that
oh,
it's you
it
that have
happens.
them. Oh yeah, look around. Oh, what's that? Go. Oh, what? Where did this
AC's
idea come from? Clearly,
AC
Jake is
that's
the
exact-
sicko of this podcast.
You're so AC was like, Jake had this perverted idea about a group sex scene with 9 Lokis.
That was some expert podcast ventriloquism by AC right there.
Like you can really go back and check the tape. My entire point was just people were like really grossed out by it, and I'm like, I don't know, if two actors have chemistry on screen, they're not for this, whatever. And that really got perverted into me being like, I need to see them anyway. Dalbin, I don't know if you have to finish your point.
Yeah, you want to finish your point. It's all good, man.
So my overall point, because Maisie raised a really good point.
Oh boy.
If there's one female Loki, it stands to reason that there's a variant. There's another Loki who's a female variant. It just stands to reason. And you also have because now our Sylvie has gone to 82. Right, so 8 years before Captain Marvel comes to Earth, right, and goes off to space and all that jazz. Does that Sylvie in the future become a villain because she is thrilled with what she did? There's just so many questions that I'm excited that they've now started to go down this road, because I think that's what's going to drive home the stakes of what Kang is. Because I think we understand the threat of the multiverse now. We understand incursions and people dying, and we get that. I don't think we know the stakes of Kang yet. I'm excited to see if they land that. That's what I'm looking forward to. Not the sex scene. For the record, I'm not interested in the sex scene.
So you're out on it.
I'm out on it. I'm out. I wasn't even halfway in, but now I'm totally out. Now that I know it's AC's idea, I'm totally out.
Prude.
That's not washed agenda, man.
Let's prune the prude. Let's prune the prude right up out of here, man.
We should start a segment called Prune or Prude. Yes.
You ain't
Prude.
It is amazing the shit that we got into in this hour. Jake, how about you, man? What are you looking forward to for the rest of the season?
That's not a sex scene, Jake.
I didn't say that, and geez, first the Wall Street Journal quoting me about sex scenes, and now my own co-host. I just cannot believe that this is my legacy. So the main thing I want to understand is I want to actually understand, like, what is the TVA? Where is the TVA? Why are all these, like, what is, like, because I think we're going to get some type of, like, flashback of how Kang set this all up. And as someone who I love world building that is, like, intricate and needlessly complex, I would like to see that. That's not necessarily a good thing for the story, but it's a thing I would like to know. I want to know, like, where literally are they? Like, that's the thing I think you can poo-poo for 1 or 2 seasons, but at a certain point, like, I do, like, are they in the quantum realm? Are they in another universe? Like, where are the corporeal beings when they're in the TVA?
Yeah, that is actually interesting, and I'm glad we got to see some more bureaucrats in this episode, kind of get a little bit of something behind the curtain, because it always felt like we felt pretty comfortable knowing that a version of Kang was pulling the strings last season, and now we see kind of this defunct version showing up here. So I'm interested in seeing that. I think the one thing for me as far as this season, Sylvie's decision is a pretty monumental one, and I kind of want to see what her feelings are about that as this continues, as she goes on her eat, pray, love situation in Oklahoma. We'll see what
Is
happens, and
there
we'll see
any
what happens.
praying or loving going on? It seems like she's gonna be eating for a while, and that's
Yeah, it
about
seemed
it.
like a lot of eating, and as trailers and commercials would suggest, she'll be doing some selling as well at Mickey D's.
I didn't realize that that's where the McGangbang was invented. Was in 1982 in Oklahoma.
Oh, wow. Right there. Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy. Loki Season 2, Episode 1 is in the books. This is a fun one, guys. I cannot even begin to understand how we got all over the place as we did, but I'm grateful that we did because it was a lot of fun. Shout out to our guests, both Dalbin and Anthony Mays. Mays, where can we follow you? Where can we find your work, my friend?
At Corn Puzzle on the old social platforms, but go ahead and follow at CinephobPod on Instagram. I've been trying to post clips. I've been trying to post pictures. I've been trying to post weird, very problematic international posters that really should not be seen by anyone, but you can see them on the Instagram. Check out the podcast as well. That's Cinephobe, blah, 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 ascertain, bad movies, and all that shit.
Deep Blue Sea Part 1. I could not believe when I saw that on my feed. I was like, oh my goodness.
And
Deepest,
AC, you
bluest.
were late because you say to me honestly all the time that your head is like a shark's fin, and so I know the movie's really important to you.
Now who's getting in on the podcast ventriloquism? I like this.
Oh God, that's great. Shout out to you, Maze. Appreciate you, man. Dalbin Osorio, my brother, glad to have you back on the show again. Where can we follow you, sir?
Shout out to Appearance 20, man. I'm super hyped. And let me tell you, you guys have gotten me back because Jake dropped the best Paul Walker impression that I ever heard. And I just have not been able to shake it. So whenever I need to laugh, I think about Jake telling us how hungry he is. Jake, you want to drop one for the people?
Hungry?
Yeah, we hungry, cuz?
We
No,
hungry,
the line is hungry. That's a Tyrese line. It's
Yes.
no, the line is also forget about it, cuz.
There it is. There it is.
See,
honestly,
the reason that's not offensive for me to say is because Paul Walker said it. It was offensive when Paul Walker said it, but then I'm just quoting him.
You're just honoring the dead at this point, right? That's all you're doing.
Exactly.
No, super grateful, honestly, always to be on with you guys. I'm always rooting for you guys. My 20th appearance on here with you guys, so I'm super pumped. Let's keep doing this for 20, 30, 40 more. You guys can follow me on Twitter at DA_Osorio. You will find me there rooting for the Jets now that I don't have to root for an unsullied quarterback. I just have to root for a bad one. So you can find me there writing about the Jets. And yeah, super pumped to be back. Let's go beat Sean Payton and Russell Wilson on Sunday. Let's go do that.
Yes,
I saw a TikTok that was the caption was needing to pick up a quarterback on the waiver wire, seeing Zach Wilson versus the Broncos defense, and it was the clip from Star Wars Force Awakens of Kylo saying, "I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it." Great stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, being a Jet fan is so shitty.
No,
man.
yeah, it's not great.
in every timeline, in every branch, in every multiverse.
Yeah,
so bad.
Yeah,
So
like
bad.
it's at the point where literally it's like, do you have a lifetime of good Jets memory? Like, the only people who have great Jets memories are people who like grew up before color television. It's just like it's because it's not even like there was a sustained period of greatness that didn't involve a Super Bowl. Like even the years we went to the AFC Championship 2 years in a row, our quarterback was still Mark Sanchez. We had no delusions that we were great. Anyway.
Yeah. Dalbin, appreciate you, brother. Even if you reminded me of the football that I watch every weekend. Jay Christie, where can we follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at the Jay Christie. Listen to my other podcast with Andre Barrera talking about the USA Network original series Psych called Love at First Psych. We just started season 4, and so that's very exciting. And yeah, follow all the stuff that AC is about to plug for the show. And this pod made me feel definitely the best I felt since I tested positive for COVID. So that's probably because I'm delirious, but also because this is a great time.
Yes, and get it and feel better soon. Jake, you can follow me on Twitter at AnthonyCanton_3. Follow the show on all platforms at MC University Pod. Plug the Patreon earlier. Got some stuff cooking with that later this month. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have somebody cashing in their reward next month for being one of the 100 subscribers to the YouTube channel with a free ticket for the Marvels. The Marvels actually not far away. Tickets coming out on Tuesday. We're about a month out. They got a whole little topsy-turvy switching thing going on in that movie. So in due time, we'll be able to talk about that. But for now, we will be riding the Loki train as we continue season 2, and excited to do so. For Anthony Mays and Dalbin Osorio and Jay Christie, I'm Anthony Canton III. This has been Marvel Cinematic University, and we will talk to you next time.